you? I am Shirley Williams.
Hi, and
Thank
I'm Deborah.
you today on Redefining What's Next as we talk about limiting beliefs.
Absolutely. We're talking about embracing change and starting anew and redefining what's next for you. And so we're picking back up and we're just talking about the limiting beliefs that we have to encounter, some of those challenges when we're facing embracing change and starting anew. We gotta, and those old beliefs just keep coming up, telling us what we can't do and why. And
And
so
that's
we're
the
just going to
challenge.
share some tips and some stories and some things that have worked for us to help you get over those hurdles of those old beliefs, kicking over those old sacred cows that are in the way.
Like that. So when that cow starts mooing and saying that you can't, you need to say, why not? Because yes, you can. Moo moo.
Absolutely. Yep, we're going to knock over some sacred cows and challenge the status quo. So, I mean, there's so much that we could dive into, Shirley. I don't even know where you want to start.
Well, that was a good opening. You said something key there, challenging those limiting
Status quo.
beliefs. How do people challenge those limiting beliefs? And what are limiting beliefs?
Ah,
People
good
throw those
question.
words out there, but do you actually know what they mean and how they apply to you?
Well, we can start by a belief is something that you have practiced over and over and over again, something that you have adopted as true based on something your parents told you, your grandparents, pastor, your teacher, anybody in authority. That could be limiting you based on your race, creed, color, education, background, all those things that stop us and hindering us from moving forward.
Yeah, and they're thoughts that we hold in our consciousness that we accept as being true.
Mm-hmm.
Like you brought up before, when your mind says that you can't do something, one way to challenge that is to say, why not? Why
Why not?
can't I do that? And
Yeah,
that's a mindset shift.
yes, yes. And experiences too are a big one because you're experiencing something we didn't want to experience and we adopt that as true. Because I experienced this, that it must be true. For example, I keep experiencing that every job I get, there's no room for promotion. So it must be true that this is just the way life is. Every job I get, that it'll always be this way based on what I've already experienced.
That's so true because I had to work with that mentality myself a number of times. And again, it's challenging that. Once we realize the power of our words and even our thoughts, so the more we keep repeating something, like continually saying every time I go into this work environment, I'm dealing with these kind of, I always have this kind of a boss that I have to
Mm-hmm.
do. So on a psychic level, that's the energy that we're sending out to the universe.
Absolutely.
So when we get to that job, no matter how nice they are during that interview, because you know everybody's on their best behavior in an interview,
Yeah.
but we too get into that job, then you start seeing the same pattern and the same
Yes.
characteristic traits or that boss, because in the back of your mind, in your psyche, you've put it out there that I'm running into the same boss every job that I get.
Every single time. Yeah. Self sabotaging thoughts.
And that's the challenge.
Yeah.
Instead of if you find yourself in a situation where you have to find another job, this time I'm going to get a boss who supports me. This
Mm-hmm.
time I'm going to get a boss who encourages my growth in this position.
Mm-hmm.
You have to internalize that
Yeah.
repeatedly
Absolutely.
holding that thought to challenge the negative thought that every time I go into a job, it's always the same kind of boss that what.
That's true. Another thing that, speaking of work, one a belief that women have is all women can't get along. That's a main belief. But like you said, what we do is we tend to look outward and blame everybody, other people, or the boss, or the job, or the circle, whatever. We tend to blame and look outward instead of looking inward. Everybody else is the problem. You know, what are the chances, what are the odds that out of 5 jobs you would continue to have the same problem? That 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 the problem is every job that you've been on. Right. Instead
That
of
energy, that's a collective energy. It is feasible to keep running into that same spirit, but then the challenge again, I guess that's going to be the word of the day.
yeah.
Situations. But the challenge is, this is what I find to be true to me. It's a process of elevation because, like you said, you have to look at your part in this and go inside and look at you. What are you bringing into this situation?
Mhm.
When you're in those situations dealing with people who aren't,
Mhm.
you have to be the light
Yes.
in a dark situation.
Yes.
And so by you being the light and upholding a certain ethic and integrity in that work environment, you can shift that energy. I would go into certain restaurants on a regular basis. I would feel that antagonistic energy. Okay, and they would serve me with an attitude or take forever to serve me. I would ignore them and I would keep going back.
Mhm.
You know, I'm there to eat. With that attitude, for me, the way that I looked at it is they were saying psychically, you don't belong here. And my thinking is, yes, I do. I belong anywhere my feet take me.
That's right.
And if you don't like it, that's your problem. By me having that mentality, I didn't have to say anything. I didn't have to
Right.
get on,
Exactly.
I didn't have to go there with them, challenge them. I would just
Exactly.
go in there, get my food, bless my food just in case. And I do. If I'm there studying, I study. I'm just minding my business. And, you know, I'm polite to them, I'm respectful to them. And by me repeatedly showing up that way, girl, when I go into this one place that was Hicktown, USA, in that restaurant, they'd be like, oh, hi, the waitress called me by my name the other day. I almost fell out the chair, Deborah. Hi, Shirley. Oh, I haven't seen you in a while, Shirley. I have to laugh. I laugh to myself, but I don't laugh out loud because you can change that environment. You really
Absolutely.
You have to know who you are and stand in your authentic truth and
Absolutely.
your authentic power because they have to see that, oh, she's not like the way the eyewitness news tell us that certain
Right.
people are supposed to be.
And you know that's very important because you have to know how you perceiving yourself. Because if you are encountering the same types of people, how much of that energy do you have in common with them that you keep attracting that? So you do have to look at yourself. How am I perceiving myself? Are they picking up on the energy that I don't see myself as important?
Mm-hmm.
So am I reflecting that back into my own life?
I hear that a lot. You know, I hear that a lot. And that's true to a certain extent. But then I also look at it this way in a situation that I just demonstrated, that person is being changed as a result. So the next time they encounter a woman of color, they're going to be a little more respectful to her because I've set the example.
Right.
So it's not always for you. We might take it that way, but it could be for that individual as well. Regardless of the color of our skin, we're still,
Yes, we are.
no matter how hateful an individual is, we still have the essence of God inside of us.
Absolutely.
And some people they've never experienced that before. They're not conscious of it. With us being conscious individuals, part of our work, that's part of our mission. And we're going to run into all types of people, but how we handle ourselves in that situation is it's what makes the difference. If we keep running into individuals everywhere we go that has the same types of spirit, then we have to break that cycle with that person.
And that's true. If you don't see yourself as one with individuals, then it would be difficult to be able to conduct yourself the way that you did. If you saw them as an enemy or set yourself apart from them, or someone that, like you said, just needs to see your light, then it would be very challenging and difficult to bring the kind of energy that would cause a shift in someone else.
And that's where it's important for us to stay vigilant in our practice.
Mm-hmm.
We're not building ourselves up on a constant base, on a daily, moment by moment basis, then we don't have that power. I don't consciously look at a person who's antagonistic to me and say, oh, that's another human being with the essence of God in there. I get in my feelings too, but
Yeah.
I learned through time how to be that way. It didn't happen overnight. This is like 20, 30 years in the making.
I know what you mean.
It takes time to get there, and that's part of it. I had a situation the other day to piggyback off of what you were saying about we have to check ourselves also to see what we're projecting. I did something that was wrong.
Okay.
Spirit wouldn't let me go. Spirit kept saying, apologize, apologize. Go, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I was justified in that. And Spirit just kept saying, apologize. But I had to get ready to make that apology, to ask for forgiveness is what it was. I needed to ask. I got a whooping this time. I did, really. And so I had to, first I called the individual, then I hung up the phone. I did. First I said, call her. I'm like, okay, well, I need to write out a script so I can.
Oh my Lord, was it really that bad?
It really was. It was one of those persons who has a very antagonistic, manipulative, cunning.
Oh, Lord.
One of those individuals. And I was just fed up and it was a family member. Okay, I will say that.
Of course.
It was a family member, and they took me there. And I said some things, but anyway, Spirit said, call now. So I'm like, okay. I picked up the phone, then I put it down again. I'm like, okay, well, let me think about what I'm gonna say and how I'm gonna say this, because I didn't want the anger to come through. That's why I had to calm myself first and get in that space of humility.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I picked up the phone and I called and I said whatever I had to say. I'm just calling and let you know. And I explained why I sent the message and what I was feeling that caused me to be annoyed and disappointed in this individual. Ask you to forgive me. But I wanted her to understand. I said, however, I'm not asking you yes or no. This isn't for you. This is for my peace of mind. Some people, when you ask them for forgiveness, when you make a mistake, they'll take that as a power move to control you now. Oh, now I have the authority to say yes or no, and I'm going to hold up. No, that's why I let her know quick. This ain't about you.
Right.
It's for my peace of mind.
Oh my Lord. That's funny.
We're all works in progress.
Absolutely.
You know, I have peace. Spirit ain't bothering me no more about the situation. I'm good.
That's funny. That is too funny. Wow. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I think self-awareness is key. You have to be aware that what you believe is a limiting belief. You know, because if you don't, you know, that makes it even more challenging. Because because you walk around with blinders on and just thinking. I know. I've heard my husband say this about himself. That's just me. I'm just that way. And I say, no, you're not. It's what you're used to, but that's not who you are. And some people do believe that about themselves. I just grew up this way. This is the way I am. This is just the way I'm going to be. No, it's not. You're just a product of your beliefs and your environment and what you've been told, what you've been used to, what you've been conditioned to believe about yourself. So self-awareness is definitely a key to changing what we believe, not just about ourselves, but the world around us.
I hear people say that a lot. oh, that's just the way that I am. I'll never change. I can't be different. This is how I grew up. This is how everybody in my family is.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely is a limiting belief. Because
Absolutely.
you're stopping your personal and your spirit, your personal development, as well as your spiritual conscious
Yeah.
development as well. If a person isn't ready, they're not at that place,
Oh boy.
that's okay for them,
Right.
to continue to be that way or feel that way. But then people have to understand that no, you don't have to be that way.
Nope.
Are you choosing to be that way? Do you want to be different? Why do you
Right.
feel that you have to be that way?
Mm-hmm. That's true. Some people don't believe that. That's probably another limiting belief, that you do have choice. You
Mhm.
do have choice. We're very powerful beings with the ability to choose. Choose to be different, act different, respond differently. Ain't easy, but we do have that ability to choose to do something different or be somebody different.
Yeah, here's another thing that I believe is why people hold on to that particular thought. This is how I am. This is how I always want to be, because of the habits that they
Mm-hmm.
develop. We walk around on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep doing the same thing over and over, saying the same thing over and over, going the same places over and over. So yeah, that's how you are.
Right.
But unless you have to change the script, you have to change those habits. But again, if people aren't ready to do that,
Yeah. Yeah.
then
Yeah.
they won't.
You do have to.
It
You
takes
do have to
it
be
takes
ready.
effort to change. Why not open up a book
Right.
that's going to feed your spirit
Yeah.
and nourish your
Absolutely.
soul
Right. Yeah.
and help bring out those characteristics of love, joy, peace of mind? You know, you can't say that I want peace of mind. I want to be filled with joy. I want to be loving, but then you keep consuming all
Mm-hmm.
the negative, all the negative noise, the
Yeah.
social, that you can't change. If you
Yeah.
keep feeding yourself that same garbage,
The same garbage over and
yeah,
over again. So we were talking last week about how hard it is, for people to change, or this is just who I am. And part of that reason is because people don't know who they would be without it. I don't know who I would be if I didn't believe that anymore.
hmm
Who would I be? And I think that's scary for people to let go of what they have identified with for so many years, and they wear that mask and that image of who they want people to believe about them and what they want people to think about them. But is it really who they are?
it's the
Um,
ego projection.
the ego projection, absolutely. And you may come to find out, you know what? I really don't even like that ice cream. Why? Why? Because I want people to believe that this is who I am and what I do. And that can be very scary for people to let go of that mask and let go of that identity
Of
because
course.
it's dying.
hmm
And that's one of the things that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. When you're leaving the old, it's dying,
hmm
and you feel that death of the old, and it can be scary.
To let go of that long held belief of this is who I am and I
Yeah.
can't be any other way. That's what's so beautiful about connecting to the divine essence that's within each and every
Mm-hmm.
one of us. We have the ego projection based on our environment, based on who we are. This is the life that I've been living. This is all I know. These are the
Right.
roles that I assume. So once we understand who we are as divine individuals, then through practice and time, you'll come
Mm-hmm.
to realize that there's another part of you. Either you
Mm-hmm.
are the physical, earthly, ego driven personality, or you're going to be your higher
Yes.
self
Yes.
that's above all of, because
Yes.
your higher self, the other part of you is a loving side of you. The other
Mm-hmm.
part of you is a part of the peaceful side of you.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of you is a joyous side of you. And it's in there.
Yeah.
People just have to work to uncover it. That's the journey. We all have. It's like being stuck in a quicksand or something. You have to
Right.
try to pull yourself out, and that's not an easy task. You're surrendering one element, yes, but look at what you gain in the long run. I remember when I started this journey, sometimes I didn't feel that I changed because I was still maybe internalizing some things that I was probably trying to work through personally. But people would always say, "You change, it's something different about you." And
Mhm.
people will notice that when you start tapping in to your divine essence, people will start to see the light start peeking through. They say, let your, what is it, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it
Yeah.
shine. So
Mhm.
every time you immerse yourself in developing your spiritual consciousness,
Right.
a little bit of that light is going to start peeping through. It may take time, it may not happen right away. It depends on how much effort you put into developing your spiritual consciousness. Then you start letting go of, instead of sitting there watching 2 hours of television, maybe you only watch an hour and
Right.
take the next hour and work on developing your spiritual practice. It's not going to happen through osmosis. We have to do the work. So just like an individual would go to work and put in their best effort on a job to get a paycheck, we have to do that in our personal lives as well. And the reward is much more eternal. In a sense, you're dying because you're taking off the old individual, the old Shirley, and putting on the new
Yep.
attitude. Like Miss Patty says, I got a new attitude.
It's a process, shedding the old and embracing the new. Acceptance is important. Compassion, patience. You got to accept where you are because, it's like learning to walk. You fall down a couple of times, but you can't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Just get back up and start walking again until,
Mm-hmm.
those legs get stronger and stronger and stronger. So accepting where you are is it's pretty important because you can't beat yourself up, judge yourself that you're not where you want to be because it is a process.
And don't compare where you are to no one else. Where you are is where you need to be right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to the next step. It's one step
Absolutely.
at a time, 1 foot forward at a time. Because
Yep.
that one step might take 6 months to a year.
Right.
Whatever that one step is that you're working on letting go of or rewriting or redefining,
Yes.
wherever that step is, let's say for instance, part of it is, like you said, taking responsibility. That's when you start looking at yourself. Into me, see what's in me that needs to change.
Yes.
Most of the time we know. Okay, surface, we know, okay, I got an attitude, I curse too much, I smoke, I drink, I do this, I do that. So we know that, yes, that's a given. But
Right.
then one of the things that I learned on my journey, once you get to a certain point, then you start dealing with those emotional issues that's been hidden inside of you, that we like the pressure cooker that you keep pushing down because you don't want to deal with it or deal with it. And
Yeah.
at some point on your journey, those things are going to start bubbling up from inside of you.
Absolutely.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be painful. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to shed some tears, you're going to get
Mm-hmm.
angry, but that's part of the process.
Yep.
That's letting go of
Yep.
the old way of thinking, the old hurt, the old pain, the old
Yep.
guilt, the old
Yep.
shame, the old negativity, the
Mm-hmm.
old wounds. But I had another revelation, time of reflection, something that actually came out of one of my counseling sessions with a young lady that I was coaching. And after the session, what she said just weighed on me so heavily. It triggered something in me. I hear people say all the time, my mother used to tell me to shut up, don't speak up, so every time I tried to say something, she would tell me to shut up. And I used to blame my mother for that, but she did a lot. I had a revelation that it wasn't just her telling me that. When you're in a toxic relationship or you're being physically violated or abused or in some way, that perpetrator is saying, shut up, be quiet, don't say nothing, shh. When you have some grown man trying to molest you at 9 or 10 years old, what are they saying? Covering your
Mm-hmm.
mouth, telling you to shut up and be quiet. Forgot about all those voices. So this was a moment of enlightenment for me where I had to deal with that shame, those negative feelings. And I was crying like a baby. I was crying for that little girl who was abused,
Yeah.
violated.
Yeah.
And then I had to look and ask my mother's spirit to forgive me because she wasn't the only one. It wasn't, I was blaming her. Those are things that we need to consider also when you're on your journey. It's an unfolding. You're
It is an
unfolding.
unfolding.
You
Yep,
can't,
things that you didn't even know were there.
you have to shed. You're steadily going to be shedding
Yep.
the old
Yep.
person so that you can get to where you need to be your highest divine and best self. And I
Shedding.
think this is me, little Angela Davis.
Okay.
This is me. I was 15 or 16. I don't know why this picture came up. I was in my meditation practice. I saw the picture in my mind of this time period. So spirit is trying to work something out. Whatever happened back there was buried so deep inside of me. It was so, I didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Every time I'm looking at her and I'm asking her, so people say, what would you tell your 15-year-old self, if you
I
could
hate
go
that
back?
question. Like, I don't know.
This is my 15-year-old self, and I'm not going to tell her anything. I want her to tell me what she needs.
That's right. Yes. Absolutely.
Every time I look into her eyes, Shirley, what were you thinking?
Oh,
What is it
wow.
that you wanted?
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Yeah.
Where do we need to heal? Who do we need to forgive? What was
Yes.
the plan? What were we thinking back then? And then it's one time somewhere during my reflection, my meditation, I'll get an answer.
That's powerful.
That's healing.
Yes, it is. That's
Yeah.
powerful healing right there. Because the little girl knows, like you said, you forgot, but that little girl knows. She hasn't forgotten anything. Just waiting for you to reach out and ask. That is so powerful. Awesome.
That's what this journey is all about.
That's what it's
Healing,
all about.
liberation, forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Those are hard pills for people to swallow. Because even when I do my coaching sessions, like right after I wrote my book, I formed a meetup group for women who were stuck in their unresolved childhood issues. But then I noticed every time we get to a certain point where they have to deal with those issues, they would start dropping out one by one.
Wow.
One lady, I kid you not, Deborah, told me, she said, I've been dealing with this for so long, it's like a part of me, and I don't want to let it go.
Wow.
She wasn't ready to let go of her story. People get stuck in their stories.
They get stuck in their stories.
They don't really want the help. They don't want the help.
Awesome. This has been awesome. It's been great.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
And we hope that you join us again. If you like what you heard, like, subscribe, leave us a comment. We certainly would appreciate hearing from you. Yeah, we have an open forum here. If you want to share something to be up on this platform, let us know. You can hit us up at redefiningwhat'snext@gmail.com. I'm Shirley.
I'm Deborah.
Stay.
Namaste.